Inhalation of vapor from black pepper extract reduces smoking withdrawal symptoms. Hey, what's up? It's Someone That's Someone, and welcome back to today's report. Today's report is a medical article by Jed E. and Frederique M. Behrnapb. When this happened, this was accepted July 9th, 1993. The drug used, black pepper, at a dose of ad libitum, which means as much as they want. The route of administration, vaporized. Gender, male. Their age, a mean age of 35.8. The prior experience, all heavy cigarette smokers, 20 to 50 a day. For their set, 8 hours of cigarette abstinence beforehand. And the setting, the VA Medical Center and the Department of Psychiatry at Duke University, both on Durham Street in North Carolina. Okay, so today we're introducing the substance black pepper. This was voted next on the Discord for us to dive into, so make sure to hop in there for the next vote. But yes, we're talking about your everyday black pepper, the spice you can find on like a third of your dishes. This actually came up in a recent edible report where the users tried sniffing some to help combat the negative effects of their strong high, which I didn't even realize that black pepper could act in such a way before this. So naturally, we had to find a report and see what it's about on its own. And there really isn't a straight up black pepper report out there like that. Most reports are of its use to help calm someone down from a bad high. But technically, it may be able to provide a high on its own, or at the very least influence one. So we had to pull up something from the medical journal, which I believe this will be our second time doing so, where the first time we covered a cyanide poisoning. While this report is for the usage of managing bad symptoms, just in another sense, this study ensures that the subjects only consume black pepper, giving us a good idea of what it can be like on its own. I will say, this study mainly focuses on the sensory impact caused by the inhalation. And while this most likely did play a significant role, black pepper has shown to contain substances that will act on the endocannabinoid system. That part of black pepper wasn't explored in the study, so we'll touch on that after the report, as it very well could have played a role in helping reduce cravings. But like that cyanide report, we aren't covering every little detail of this, and I mainly left the bulk of the important and qualitative information. Things like certain numbers, references, and whatnot were removed for a better reading experience, so I do recommend to check the full thing out. But this is a really interesting report. It really just shows how powerful and intricate this everyday spice can act, as there is a lot more to it than simply just taste. So I'm sure you'll enjoy this. Without further ado, let's dive right into it. Abstract. Previous studies have suggested that sensory cues associated with cigarette smoking can suppress certain smoking withdrawal symptoms, including cravings for cigarettes. In this study, we investigated the subjective effects of a cigarette smoking substitute delivering a vapor of black pepper essential oil. 48 cigarette smokers participated in a 3-hour session conducted after overnight deprivation from smoking. Subjects were randomly assigned to one of the 3 conditions. One group of smokers puffed on a device that delivered a vapor from essential oil of black pepper. A second group puffed on a device with a mint/menthol cartridge. And a third group used a device containing an empty cartridge. Subjects puffed and inhaled ad libitum from the device throughout the session, during which no smoking was allowed. Reported craving for cigarettes was significantly reduced in the pepper condition relative to each of the 2 control conditions. In addition, negative effect and somatic symptoms of anxiety were alleviated in the pepper condition relative to the unflavored placebo. The intensity of sensations in the chest was also significantly higher for the pepper condition. These results support the view that respiratory tract sensations are important in alleviating smoking withdrawal symptoms. Cigarette substitutes delivering pepper constituents may prove useful in smoking cessation treatment. 1. Introduction. In the present study, we investigated a cigarette-sized device that delivered a vapor of black pepper components, hypothesizing that the airway irritant effects would suppress craving for cigarettes. This contrasted with the previous studies that used aerosols composed of droplets or particles. The main goal was to assess the effects of pepper vapor on the subjective withdrawal symptoms during a brief period of smoking abstinence, relative to control conditions, which presented either a mint/menthol vapor or unflavored air. 2. Methods. 2.1. Subjects. 48 male smokers between the ages of 19 and 56 years, mean 35.8, standard deviation 9.05, were recruited from local newspaper advertisements. All subjects smoked between 20 and 50 cigarettes a day. Mean 31.3, standard deviation 9.05, with a mean FTC nicotine delivery of 0.9 milligrams, standard deviation 0.16. All subjects had been smoking for at least 5 years. Mean 19.2, standard deviation 10.02, and all had reported being in good health. 2.2. Apparatus. In all three conditions, the same device was used. It consisted of a hollow plastic tube roughly the size of a cigarette, with an air inlet at one end and a mouthpiece at the other. Various cartridges could be inserted into the device, and we had previously tested this device in an experiment evaluating the importance of flavors in smoking satisfaction. 2.3. Procedure. Subjects reported to the laboratory after having abstained from smoking for at least 8 hours. Smoking abstinence was verified by measuring inspired air carbon monoxide levels upon arrival at the laboratory. Subjects were randomly assigned to one of the three conditions. One group of smokers puffed on a device that delivered a vapor from essential oil of black pepper. A second group puffed on a device with a mint/menthol cartridge, and the third group used a device containing an empty cartridge. Subjects puffed and inhaled ad libitum from the device throughout a 3-hour session during which no smoking was allowed. At the end of each hour, subjects filled out a questionnaire employed in several previous studies to rate the puffs for liking, satisfaction, strength of sensations in different regions of the respiratory tract, similarity to their own brand of cigarette, and estimated nicotine delivery. While there was no nicotine in any condition, prior studies suggested that subjects often report estimates of nicotine delivery proportional to sensory impact. All ratings were made using 5-point scales ranging from not at all, 0, to extremely, 4. In addition to rating the device, subjects completed a smoking withdrawal symptom questionnaire based on Schiffman and Jarvik, consisting of 7-point self-rating scales. This questionnaire has proven useful in detecting the effects of nicotine administration in previous studies. The following items were assessed, comprising symptom subscales validated previously with factor analysis. 1. Craving for cigarettes. Craved a cigarette, would have liked a cigarette, thought of cigarettes, missed a cigarette, had urges to smoke, and, scored oppositely, would have refused the cigarette. 2. Negative effect. Tense, irritable, and, scored oppositely, calm, content. 3. Arousal, wide awake, able to concentrate as well as usual, and, scored oppositely, unusually sleepy. 4. Appetite, hungrier than usual, crave sweets, crave salty foods. 5. Habit withdrawal, miss something to do with the hands, miss something in the mouth. 5. Somatic anxiety, fluttery feelings in the chest, heartbeat faster than usual, hand shaky. 6. Gastrointestinal symptoms, upset stomach, nausea, dizziness. 7. Respiratory symptoms, cough, sore throat. The withdrawal questionnaire was administered at the beginning of the session and hourly throughout the session. Subject's lung function was also assessed at the beginning and end of the session to verify that no bronchoconstriction occurred due to the inhalation of the black pepper vapor. The forced expiratory air volume in 1S, FEVI, was used as a key index of large airway function. If any subject's FEVI was less than 75% of that predicted on the basis of gender, height, and age, that subject was excluded from participation. We also measured the FEF 2575, an index for lower airway condition. 2.4. Data analysis. The change in each withdrawal symptom subscale from the beginning to the end of the session, end of hour 3, was analyzed by conducting 2 planned comparisons. The pepper condition was compared to the placebo condition and to the mint/menthol condition using analysis of variance. Corresponding analyses of baseline symptoms were conducted to rule out pretreatment differences between conditions. In the event of significant differences or trends for differences at baseline, an analysis of covariance was conducted on end-of-session scores, partialing out baseline values. 3. Results. 3.1. Baseline withdrawal symptoms. At the beginning of the session, there were no significant differences between the pepper condition and each of the two other conditions in any withdrawal measure. Overall, mean craving was 5.6, standard deviation 1.01, mean habit withdrawal was 4.2, standard deviation 2.38, mean arousal was 5.2, standard deviation 1.18, mean negative effect was 3.8, standard deviation 1.21, mean appetite was 2.8, standard deviation 1.09, mean somatic anxiety symptom rating was 2.9, standard deviation 1.06, mean gastrointestinal symptom rating was 2.0, standard deviation 1.06, and mean respiratory symptom rating was 2.3, standard deviation 1.28. There were non-significant trends for craving and somatic anxiety at baseline to be higher in the pepper condition than in the menthol condition, and for arousal to be higher in the placebo condition than in the pepper condition. 3.2. Change in smoking withdrawal symptoms. As shown in Figure 1, craving for cigarettes decreased by the end of the 3-hour session significantly more in the pepper condition than in each of the other two conditions. Because of the trend for baseline craving to differ between pepper and menthol conditions, an analysis of covariance was also conducted. After partialing out the effect of baseline craving, there was still a significant reduction of craving in the pepper condition relative to the menthol condition. Also, the pepper versus placebo difference remained significant after controlling for baseline craving. The change in habit withdrawal symptoms, missing something in the hands or mouth, did not differ between conditions. Negative effect also decreased more in the pepper condition than in the placebo condition. See Figure 2. However, there was no difference in negative effect between the pepper and mint/menthol conditions. Subjective arousal was not differentially affected in the pepper condition. The analysis of covariance for the pepper versus placebo conditions also showed no significant difference. Somatic symptoms related to anxiety, fluttery feelings in the chest, heart beating fast, and hand shaky were significantly reduced in the pepper condition relative to each of the control conditions. The pepper versus placebo difference was also significant when assessed by analysis of covariance. However, the pepper versus menthol comparison was not significant after controlling for baseline differences. The other somatic symptom subscales, gastrointestinal and respiratory, were not differentially affected by the pepper condition. 3.3. Liking and satisfaction ratings. As shown in Figure 3, subjects reported liking of the pepper condition was greater than the placebo condition and was comparable to that for the mint/menthol condition. Ratings of satisfaction did not differ between the pepper condition and the placebo or mint/menthol conditions. 3.4. Estimated nicotine delivery. Subjective estimation of nicotine delivery also did not differ between the pepper and other conditions, and was quite low. 3.5. Regional airway sensation ratings. The chest sensations in the pepper condition were rated as significantly stronger than in the placebo condition. There was also a trend for the pepper to be rated stronger in the chest than the mint/menthol condition. There were no differences between the pepper condition and each of the two control conditions in ratings of strength on the tongue, nose, back of mouth, and throat or windpipe. Correlations were calculated between respiratory tract sensations and the reduction in craving for cigarettes during the session. While there were trends for sensations in the throat and windpipe to be correlated with craving reduction, the correlation with craving reduction was significant for chest sensations. 3.6. Lung function. There was no effect of the inhalations of black pepper on the subject's FEVI and FEF25. Subjects' lung function test results were constant throughout the session for all conditions. 4. Discussion. The results of this study support the hypothesis that the vapor of black pepper essential oil, when inhaled, partially reproduces the respiratory tract sensations experienced when smoking, and thereby reduces craving for cigarettes. The pepper condition was not only more effective than an unflavored placebo device, but also reduced craving more than an active placebo. Menthol condition. It is notable that a robust effect was seen despite the overnight smoking deprivation of the subjects and absence of nicotine delivery from the device. The craving reduction is consistent with our previous findings using other mild irritants to simulate respiratory tract sensations. We have previously found that citric acid, when presented either in a nebulized solution, a spray canister, or simply when delivered in a fine powder, reduces craving for cigarettes. The magnitude of reduction in craving seen in the present study is comparable to the effects seen previously with citric acid aerosol and with nicotine skin patch treatment. While the relationship between the withdrawal relief and smoking cessation has yet to be fully elucidated, some studies have found a predictive relationship between abstinence and relief of craving or other withdrawal symptoms. Besides reducing craving for cigarettes, the pepper vapor reduced negative effect relative to the placebo condition. In a previous laboratory study, we also found that inhaling a low-nicotine aerosol that provided respiratory tract stimulation reduced negative effect. Moreover, in a recent smoking cessation clinical trial, negative effect after quitting smoking was significantly lower in a group of subjects using a citric acid delivery device than in a placebo control group. Thus, attaining desired sensory cues appears to improve mood along with relief of craving for cigarettes. Interestingly, the present study also found a reduction of somatic symptoms related to anxiety in the pepper condition relative to the placebo. Active constituents in pepper may have considerable promise for simulating the sensory actions of cigarette smoke. Certain components of black pepper have a similar action to capsaicin, the pungent principle in chili pepper, and capsaicin has similar effects on afferent C fiber vagal nerve pathways as does cigarette smoke. Cross-tolerance with cigarette smoke has been shown for some of the effects of capsaicin. Recent studies have shown that ruthenium red, which blocks the capsaicin-activated ion channel, also attenuates the response of sensory nerves to nicotine without blocking response to other agents, suggesting a common mechanism of action for nicotine and capsaicin. It's not yet clear whether pepper-based vapor or aerosol formulations will be more effective clinically than non-specific irritants in simulating the sensory effects of inhaled smoke. The assessment of regional airway sensory ratings provided a clue about the locus of effect of the pepper vapor. Only chest sensations were rated reliably higher in the pepper condition, and the intensity of sensations in the chest was significantly correlated with a reduction in craving for cigarettes. Thus, craving may have been reduced by simulating one particular regional sensation associated with cigarette smoke. Vapors deposit in the respiratory tract depending in part on their water solubility, and we speculate that relatively hydrophobic components of pepper essential oil would reach the lower respiratory tract. In contrast, with the citric acid aerosol examined in a previous laboratory study, the reduction in craving was highly correlated with sensations in the back of the mouth and throat, where considerable particle deposition would have occurred. The use of pepper vapor thereby provides a complementary approach to the aerosol delivery methods evaluated previously. Perhaps the two strategies could be combined in future studies to reproduce the regional airway sensations to which smokers are accustomed to a greater extent than either technique alone. Effects on smoking withdrawal symptoms can be demonstrated with sufficiently mild airway irritation that no changes in pulmonary function are detected. The present results support the view that sensory motor substitutes for cigarettes may be useful as potential smoking cessation aids and should be evaluated further in treatment settings. Okay, so very interesting to see, and pretty eye-opening if you haven't really thought about what you may be addicted to. Many people attribute their addiction solely because of the substance, but really, the route of administration itself may be playing a strong role, which here is the sensations you get from the ROA. But let's talk about the actual substance used and see how it could have had an effect ranging beyond physical sensation. So we'll start with the basics, I suppose, and gradually get into the pharmacology. We won't be getting into everything about this, since it is pretty complex and we've already had a long report. So you probably know that a thing with black pepper is that it can cause you to sneeze, and it can be spicy in a sense. Not like spicy hot, but like the spice of its flavor. But I guess you can get spicy with it when you use too much. But the main alkaloid responsible for these effects is thought to be piperine, which this will be the main focus for this section, but then black pepper also contains terpenoids, which may also contribute. You may know that cannabis contains terpenoids too, and we can actually find that in some strains of cannabis, a terpenoid can pop up that is common within black pepper. This terpenoid is called caryophyllene and can act as a cannabinoid agonist. Interestingly, this can also pop up in hops, cloves, and some other common spices. But looking at caryophyllene closely, there is research suggesting a handful of benefits which may include antioxidant, anti-anxiety, anti-inflammatory, anti-addiction, even anti-aging, possibly even more. So this terpenoid alone could be playing a role with helping reduce cravings, but it could also mitigate coexisting cannabinoid activity. What I mean by this is, if someone is having a bad time off cannabis, introducing this terpenoid could help steer the high in a more favorable and overall relaxed direction. In theory, this could also work for other substances that exhibit cannabinoid activity, such as nutmeg. Another alkaloid that could be playing a potential role is one called guanisine. Not necessarily with cravings, but there is evidence showing that it acts on cannabinoid receptors by cellular uptake inhibition, which this is naturally correlated with anandamide uptake inhibition. Anandamide is a naturally occurring chemical that plays a big role in our day-to-day functioning. It's thought to have roles in our feeding behavior, our motivation, pain, pleasure, and sleep. Most notably though, this is the substance that is thought to be responsible for providing a post-workout high. So if guanisine is introduced, then this feeling could be much more pronounced. And there is research suggesting piperine may also have a role in anandamide cellular uptake inhibition. But let's see how piperine could be playing a role, which I'll just say it's pretty complex, and we aren't going to get into everything about it. And piperine could also have effects on the cannabinoid system, but it also does pave way for an increased bioavailability of most substances out there. It can inhibit most enzymes responsible for metabolizing drugs, it can stimulate activity of amino acid transporters, it can inhibit a protein pump that removes substances from cells, and it also decreases the production of glucuronic acid, which allows more of a substance to enter the body in its active form. On the flip side, naturally, this can also decrease the activity of a handful of substances as well. Besides that, there's a handful of research suggesting that piperine could potentially increase the bioavailability of THC and CBD. Also, it may play a role in helping reverse tolerance when it comes to delta-9 edible conversion. I won't break down the specifics for how that may be happening, because it is quite a lot and only based on theory right now, so I do highly recommend you check out some of the research in the description. But I think we'll leave it there for today. We got a good look at black pepper and how it may be contributing in a medicinal sense, but also a psychoactive one. There's just so much research suggesting that it is far more than a spice. As I'm making this, I have no for sure idea if it will actually potentiate cannabinoids at all or not, but based on what's been found already, it's definitely an area to be looked into more. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you liked hearing about black pepper and want to see another video on it, whether that be another report, a let's dive in, or whatever, let me know down below. Feel free to send in your own report, check the description, also check out the Patreon for exclusive content. And last but not least, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. It's been Someone That's Someone, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.